Today's story is about the knock at midnight. It was 12:07 a.m. when Mira heard three knock on her bedroom. Knock, knock, knock. She opened her door. The house was completely silent. Mira lived with her mother and grandmother. Mira lived with her mother and grandmother in the old house at the edge of the town. Her father had been away for several days because of work. That night, her mother and grandmother were sleeping downstairs. Mira looked at door. 12:07 a.m. Then came another three knock, 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 knock. Mom, Mira called softly. No answer. She got out of bed and slowly walked toward the door. Who is it? The room is completely silent. She opened the door. Nobody was there. The hallway was dark and empty. Mira stepped outside and looked after it. Nothing. She closed the door and locked it. Just as she turned around, he heard the knock again 3 times. Knock, knock, knock. This time the sound came from the window. Mira froze. Her bedroom was on the second floor. There was no balcony outside the window. She slowly walked toward it. The curtains moved slightly. It's probably the wind, she whispered. She pulled the curtain open. A thing was outside, but something was lying on a window side. A small, old black box. Mira picked it up. There was a name written on it. Its lid. Mira. Her heart began beating faster. She had never seen the box before. She opened it. Inside was an old photograph. It showed her house, but the photograph looked very old. In the picture, a little girl was standing in front of a house. Mira started at the girl. She looked exactly like her, same face, same eyes, same small scar above her eyebrow. On the back of the photograph were 6 words. Don't let her enter the house. Mira dropped the photograph. Suddenly she heard footsteps downstairs. Someone was walking through the living room slowly, step by step. Mira grabbed her phone and quietly opened her bedroom door. The hallway was empty. She went downstairs. Mom, Mom, no answer. She checked her mother's room. Her mother was sleeping. Her grandmother was sleeping too. Mira felt relieved. Then she heard a voice behind her. Mira. She turned around. Her grandmother was standing at the door of the hallway. But there was something strange about her face. She was smiling. Grandma. Her grandfather raised one finger to her lips. Shh. Then she whispered. She came back. Mira's stomach tightened. Who? Her grandmother looked toward the front door. The girl in the photograph. Suddenly, bang! Someone hit the door. Mira screamed. Her grandmother grabbed her hand. Don't open, don't open. Another bang. Then woman's voice came from outside. Mira opened the door. Mira, bloods ran cold. It was her mother's voice. She looked at her mother, who was still sleeping in the bed. Grandma, her grandmother whispered, that isn't your mother. The knocking stopped. For a second, there was a complete silence. Then the voice outside whispered, Mira, I know you are there. The light suddenly went out. The entry house became dark. Mira had her grandmother's hand tightly. Then they heard footsteps, not outside, inside the house. Someone walking upstairs. Mira looked toward the staircase. A shadow slowly appeared on the wall. It was the shadow of a little girl, but nobody was standing there. The shadow raised its hand. The waved. Mira couldn't breathe. Her grandmother pulled her toward the kitchen. We have to leave. We have to leave. They quietly moved toward the back door, but before they could reach it, the kitchen door slammed shut by itself. Bang, bang. Mira screamed. Her grandmother grabbed old black box. Where did you get it? Where did you get it? Upstairs, Grandma, upstairs. Her grandmother started at it. Then her face changed. Your father found out this box years ago, but he told me to never open it. Mira looked at the photograph again. Who is this girl? Her grandma hesitated, then said, Your mother's twin sister. Mira started at her. My mother had twins? Her grandma nodded slowly. She disappeared when she was 8 years old. Suddenly, something scratched the kitchen door. A little girl whispered, Grandma. Her grandmother closed her eyes. The voice continued, You promise you won't tell her. You promise you won't tell her. Mira looked at grandmother. Tell me what? Her grandmother began to cry. Your mother's twin didn't disappear. Then where is she? Her grandmother pointed toward the old black box. She died in this house. The scratching stopped. Mira couldn't move. The box began to shake. The lid slowly opened by itself. Inside was another photograph. The one showed two little girls. One was Mira's mother, another was her twin sister. But behind them stood a third person, a tall woman wearing a black dress. Mira looked closely. The woman had the same face as her grandmother. Her grandmother whispered, She came to our house that night. Who? Her grandmother looked at the photograph. The woman who took your mother's sister. Suddenly, kitchen door opened. There stood a little girl. She was wearing an old white dress. Her hair covered most of her face. Mira stepped backward. The girl slowly lifted her head. Her eyes were completely black. She smiled. Then she pointed towards the staircase. Someone was standing at the top. It was Mira's mother, but her eyes were closed. Mom, her mother opened her eyes. They were completely black. Black. Mira screamed. Her grandmother shouted, "Run!" Mira ran toward the back door. She opened it and rushed outside. Her grandmother followed. Then they ran toward roads. Behind them, the house lights suddenly turned on. Every window was glowing, and behind every window stood a little girl. Mira stopped. There was a dozen of them, all staring at her. Then her phone rang. The caller ID said, "Dad." Mira answered. Her father's voice whispered, "Mira, don't trust Grandma." She looked at her grandmother. Grandmother was standing completely still. "Dad, where are you?" A long silence followed. Then her father said, "I am in the house." Mira's face went blank. "But I'm outside." Her father whispered, "Exactly." The phone went dead. Mira slowly turned toward her grandmother. Her grandmother smiled, but this time her face wasn't her grandmother's. It was a little girl's face. "Finally, you found me." Mira looked at the house. The front door slowly opened and someone stepped outside. It was her grandmother. Mira looked down with the person standing beside her. There was no grandmother, only the little girl from the photograph. She whispered, "Now you know the truth." Then the lights went out. The entire village heard three knocks. Knock, knock, knock. No one saw Mira again, but every year, one on the same night at exactly 12:07 a.m., people living near the old house hear three knock on their doors. If they look outside, they see little girl standing in the darkness waiting. What do you think? What it is? Something behind everyone's thinking, something which no one can ever wanted to know.